Welcome y bienvenidos to Presently Aquí, a podcast created just for you, a place to find tools, insights, and a gentle guidance to nurture your self-love journey. Together we'll connect with extraordinary healers from around the world, uncovering the wisdom and unique gifts they share to help us lead healthier and more loving lives, beginning with ourselves. And my name is Claudia, and I am your host. And today is a solo episode with just me. Hey. And I wanted to take this time to kind of reintroduce my podcast and my work and me. So my name is Claudia Torres. I am an intuitive mindfulness and meditation teacher. I teach everyone from 5 years old all the way to 100 years old mindfulness. And I've been doing this, I've been self-aware for my entire life, mostly. My first conscious thought, I was 10. So it's been a long journey and unraveling. I've been doing yoga for over 20 years. And it's been such a magical journey. I'm also an intuitive. So that intuition aspect I've always had as well. I've been doing Reiki as well for a few years and tarot reading, which has been such a wonderful delight to do for others and provide them with insight through that mediumship and a lot of fun as well. So let's talk about mindfulness, right? Mindfulness, if all of you have been following me for a long time, you already know what I'm about to say. And I talk about it all the time on my Instagram. So I'm at Presently Aquí on all platforms, including my website. So let's get into it. Mindfulness is using the present moment to self-regulate, essentially. To self-regulate your thoughts, emotions, and what's showing up all together. Because the emotions can trigger the thoughts can trigger the emotions. And when we don't know what that'll show up as, it becomes a problem, and we know we've been there when we are led by our thoughts or emotions. So for those out there that have a little bit closed-mindedness, emotions usually are led by women, but thoughts are usually led by men. So it's both of us. And it's both energies, masculine and feminine. So using present moment awareness to observe what's showing up physically, emotionally, energetically, mentally is important. Why? When we are able to know ourselves, then can we start this self-love journey into understanding who we are, right? All the ways that the thoughts and the emotions and the physical and the energetics arise. Because if you realize, when we were children, we were told who we are. And as adults, we are continued to be told who we should be. But many of us never took the time to sit with self and say, who do I want to be? Not what I've been told to be. Because our inner critic, our negative self-talk, comes from childhood, who we were told to be, right? That is someone else's voice in your mind, not you taking charge over your life and telling yourself that you're amazing, you're beautiful, and you're worth everything, deserving of it all. But instead, the traumas taught us different, and it stayed with us. So, by learning about who we are, then the world cannot tell us who we should be. Because what we're doing is taking control over ourselves and our lives. How we want to show up. So mindfulness is not something I teach. It's something I guide you back into remembrance of yourself. Do you see? The body, as I always talk about, why the breath is the secret. That is always my thing, I say. Because the breath is the anchor. It's the secret. It's simple, but we need to practice it, right? when we take intentful breathing techniques, right? And if I tell you right now, I want you to take a deep inhale with me and slowly exhale. So when you do those type of exercises, your mind can't think and tell the body what to do at the same time. It can't do that. So we're already tricking the mind to stop thinking by focusing on intentful breathing. Do you see? So when we come into the breath, we're essentially going into our bodies. And the body is always in the present moment. It is our minds that are always time traveling to the past and to the future. Always. Because that's how the ego, the mind, has learned to keep itself in survival by taking information from the past to create expectations of what could come in the future, which only creates anxiety, stress, and worry unnecessarily. Because we were not taught how to use the mind, the ego, the brain, essentially our computer, our full self. This is the computer. We don't know how to program our own computer. The mind is a computer, a organic computer. Yeah. This is the first spiritual technology that has ever existed before technology. Technology is a copy of who we are. Do you see? So, when we use the breath to slow down, especially during heavy negative emotions, anger is a big one. Then we have sadness and grief and all the other ones. The strongest one is anger. We've heard of this in the news. Crimes of passion, right? When people are overtaken by their own emotional passion and they commit crimes, and unfortunately, some people end up dying, right? Because they don't know how to regulate their emotions. They don't know how to respond versus react. All of us were not taught this. I'm not saying these things or sharing these things to shame you or judge you into where you are in your journey. No. I exist, and all the beautiful mindfulness teachers out there, we are here to help you remember that the only thing that you have control over is yourself. Your mind, body, and spirit is what you have control over yourself. And if you can understand that that's control over everything, then you can relinquish control outside of yourself because you don't have control over anyone or anything. And that's really difficult to process for a lot of people. But when you have control over yourself, then you are mastering your reality. Because reality that we see in our lives is a feedback loop to what's going on internally within ourselves. And that's really hard to take in because that would mean that you need to take full responsibility and accountability for what's showing up. And our trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, are the first things that react to what's going on. So in order to be accountable and responsible when you are a fleeing kind of person, you just flee, you avoid it, it's really difficult for you to sit with acceptance that what's showing up is actually I have a hand in. To an extent, okay? So I don't want you to think that all of your life, let's say, sexual trauma or, really deep, dark things, are you creating it? No. We're not talking about that. No. We're talking about you've created those situations for an invitation for something else. So it's not about it's your fault. Oh, well, you were raped, because we're not saying that word here. You were raped because that's your fault. You asked the universe to throw that into your life. No. There was an invitation there that you were asking for, and unfortunately, that's how it showed up. Sometimes in life, especially when it comes to our bodies and illnesses, these things show up in a big traumatic way because we're not listening. We're not paying attention to the signs that our mind and our bodies and our energy is signaling to us. So it has to be so dramatic and traumatic for you to pay attention, because that's what mindfulness is, paying attention to yourself in all of the ways that it shows up. Anxiety is your mind and your body talking to you. It's not something to shoo away. Stress, go away. It'll keep coming back like a nasty habit. So when we start to see these things as invitations because we're not paying attention to what's showing up in our lives, these things show up in different ways. And I'm not diminishing or any of these spaces, because we've all had our journey of trauma that we can sit here and talk for days about. But if you notice, a lot of the people I interview here, the healers, they've taken this dense trauma, alchemized it, and expanded into a new self. Do you see? They took the invitation of what was showing up and instead took it and made something better with it, versus it sinking them down further into the abyss of darkness within ourselves. So, mindfulness. The present moment is a gift because it is all we have. And in the present moment lives infinite possibilities of life that we can play with, blend with. It's incredible when you really become the observer of your life. I don't know what's going on, but my nose is itchy. It's usually spirit talking to me. But when you become the observer, you'll start to understand, this is why mindfulness is also important, that you are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings and emotions. You are more than that. And the reason that we were never taught to be mindful, present, paying attention, to be in our bodies, the reason for that is because if you know who you are in all variations, aspects of self, and you call back all your power back into yourself, then, my dear, you've become more powerful than the system that has programmed you to believe less than of yourself. Do you see? It doesn't benefit the system called society for you to know your own power, your own self-worth. Because if you know your true power, you don't need to depend on any system. Because now you've become self-sovereign. And that takes time for you to build that. For a reason that I just stated. It does not benefit the system for you to become self-sovereign. So my job is to remind you that you are, that everything is within your power and in your control. Everything. When we relinquish our control and power over things is when we start to lose ourselves. We lose ourselves when we think we are our thoughts. We lose ourselves when we think we are our emotions. We lose ourselves when we think that whatever illness is going on in our body is taken over. It could be something dramatic like cancer, AIDS, but it's you relinquishing control. Do not allow that. You can heal everything and anything, any illness that comes, any illness that hasn't been created yet or invented. Your body's ability to heal is now we are understanding that more now than ever. Before, it was holistic alternative medicine. Alternative medicine is big pharma. That's alternative medicine, because the true medicine is your body, herbs, energy. That is true healing. Pills are not true healing. Your body can do everything and anything that you need it to do and need it to become. It starts here, though, in the mind. Your mind needs to believe that in order for your body to receive the information that it has the will to overcome any illness. But again, that takes time. In a world where we are distracted, highly distracted, and taken away from ourselves on purpose, it's difficult when you're always on your phone, addicted to your phone, because everyone now has the same addiction. It's no longer alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, it's the phone. The new spell, as per se, because it is a black mirror. If you look at your phone, it's a black mirror, entrancing you away from yourself, giving yourself away to it. So my job is to bring you back home, bring you back here into the now, because that's all there is. And the only thing that matters in this now is you, what you feel, what you think. What are those things? And part of me guiding you back home to yourself also includes a lot of inner child healing. Because the parts of ourselves that is externalizing our experiences, begging to be seen, valued, and heard from others, when really it is us that need to give ourselves those things. Only we can be valued, seen, and heard through our own eyes, through our own internal experience when we build a relationship with ourselves. And the only way to do that is through meditation. And what I find interesting about meditation in the spiritual community, when it started to come out, most of the narrative of meditation was to calm the thoughts, to ease anxiety and stress, mostly to quiet the mind. But that is a byproduct, right? It's a byproduct of building the relationship with yourself. The only way to build a relationship with yourself is with your eyes closed. That's the only way to build this internal foundational force in you called love. When we have our eyes open, we're having a relationship with the external world and everyone and everything in it. The only way to have a relationship with ourselves is with our eyes closed. Sure, there's mirror workshops, right? There's that type of feeling where you're just looking at yourself and building a relationship in that space. But that won't take you as far as meditation can. Meditation has an infiniteness to it in regards to learning and loving yourself. Because again, eyes open is externalizing. Because when we have our eyes open and then we're doing mirror work, we're also connecting with what we look like, the vanity of it, right? And so when we're inside of ourselves, we are able to be more accepting of who we are inside and then externally accept who we are outside. You have to build that force inside of you first in order to accept the physicality of yourself. Okay? That's how that works. So mindfulness, the essential force of building a relationship with yourself through the present moment and having the breath as the anchor to always come back is the greatest gift that we can give ourselves and anyone and everyone in our lives. if you are new here, but for those that aren't, know that I talk about the best gift you could ever give anybody, especially if you're a parent, is the gift of presence. The gift of presence is worth more than any gold, money that it could ever exist. Because the value of your attention, undivided attention, you give me is everything. I will feel it. It will pour into my entire self, and I will be present in the conversation with you, present in the moment with you, because I can sense that your full attention is on me, which leads to why your focus, you paying attention, that energy of you looking intentfully at someone or anything is your power. If you notice, when someone is requiring your attention and you don't give it, that energy becomes bigger and bigger because it's dying for your attention until you give it its attention. And once you give it the attention that is requiring, it lessens. It lessens. And that includes yourself. Like when this anxiety, like, hey, I have anxiety. And you're like, hey, anxiety, what's up? It will start to lessen because now you're building a relationship with it. When you build a relationship with yourself, that includes your mind, your emotions, and your body, it's important to start to say, when you exercise, thank you, body, I love you, body. Body, what do you need today? When you're making yourself food, body, what would you like? Because the body's intelligence will tell you something really random. Be like, I want artichokes. And that's signaling to you that it requires some brain fuel because artichokes are good for the mind. Or the brain, I should say, because the mind is the ego. The brain needs vitamins and nutrition. I need artichokes. Okay, that's so weird. Okay, then you now understand there's a vitamin in this fruit or vegetable or protein that is required. It's asking me because it needs it. For those women out there that have been pregnant before, I haven't, but you get cravings of weird random foods because your body is requiring. It's doing an incredible job of holding a new life inside of you, and that life is requiring these foods, whatever it may be. And it could be like, I need donuts, and that's just signaling that you need sugar to power through whatever the cycle is of that day. And that's okay, go have it. Same if you're not a pregnant woman, if you're just a regular person, man or woman, that has cravings, appease that when you're building a relationship with your body. But if you're having issues with your relationship with your body and food, do not appease that. Your job now is to figure out why you're unable to have control over yourself when it comes to food and the relationship with it. And now the invitation is to see what's going on deeper, why you're eating your feelings, essentially. You're eating your stress. That's different. But when you start to get to know yourself and building relationship with your body, your mind, and your heart, it's important to pay attention. You start to pay attention to all the ways, the aches and pains of your body, the headaches, the overwhelmingness of your mind. Pay attention. When you need to rest, rest. Don't cheat yourself out of rest at all. So, mindfulness. Building a relationship with yourself, because a relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have, the most important relationship you'll ever invest in, the most important relationship you'll ever pour into, because everything else will reflect that. And when challenges and obstacles arise in your life, They are always invitations to see something deeper about what's really going on. I used to have a friend, no more, that used to tell me, you're reading too much into everything. I thought, I don't know how else to live because everything requires my attention and everything has a subconscious way of showing up. And I like to see what is the invitation of what's really being said or what's really showing up. You see, people become dismissive because they don't want to see that about themselves and their lives, and that's okay. But I do. That's how I live, through the invitations that life always offers me. And I'm ever so grateful. So mindfulness, when you master your mind, because that is your first step into self-sovereignty. When you master your mind, then and only then can you truly hear the voice of your heart. You see, most people, society is mostly mind-led. So everyone's living from their ego, from their false sense of self. And that's difficult for some of us that are heart-led. Those of us that are heart-led and living from our heart space, it's difficult for us to have any type of relationship with people who are mind-led, because essentially we're having a relationship with your ego and not your truest authentic self. There's no shame or guilt. It's that you still are learning and need to learn to master your mind, because we've been taught that the master is our mind, but truly the master is our heart. The mind and our bodies are tools for the heart. And so is the gut, because the gut has its own intelligence, but those are tools. Everything is a tool. The master of who you are, where your light resides, your soul and spirit, is in your heart space. So you're essentially using mindfulness to get to know how your mind works, how that computer, your spiritual technology, how does this computer work? And how does it keep me away from my true self, which is my heart? How do I unravel and peel back all the ways and the layers of my mind that keeps me from my heart, which is essentially keeping you from love? Because the mind can think that it's in love. The mind can think that it feels love. The mind can trick itself to do what the heart does. There is this beautiful teacher, healer that I've interviewed, I don't even know, 3 years ago. His name is Brian. He's a mindfulness teacher as well. And he has the theory of emotion. And it's spectacular because I was coming on to this myself, where how do we know the difference of what we're truly feeling when the mind feels versus what we're truly feeling when the heart is feeling? There are different things. And I will leave you with this beautiful example. Sympathy, nice, and politeness is from the mind. Those three things are from the mind. And the way it shows up in the heart is empathy, compassion, and kindness. How do you know the difference? This has no feeling behind it. This has only feeling behind it. When someone is genuinely kind to you, you feel that. You feel that everywhere. You will never forget that person and their kind gesture. But when someone's nice and polite, there's no feeling behind it. A lot of people are nice and polite, but there's not a story that you've held on to, like, oh, I remember when that person was polite. No. Do you see the difference? Do you hear the difference? There's a big difference. So in a world that is going to continuously distract you and take you away from yourself, it is an act of rebellion to start loving yourself. And that is how we overcome this dark world that we're in, that all of you have come to the awareness to see, because all of us that are in tuned and intuitive have known for a very long time. And it is refreshing to see all of you seeing it and being here with us. I mean, there's still a lot more, but a lot that has been uncovered is enough to show you how ugly it truly is. But with your love, all of our love, when we come back home to ourselves in our heart space, we are transforming the world. It may seem dark and hopeless, but that's the illusion. So I'm going to leave you with this. Mindfulness is important because mindfulness brings you clarity into your life. If you have confusion in your life, it is an illusion. That is not for you. Clarity is all that you need in order to make the right decisions over your life. Clarity is the most important thing that will separate and help you understand where you are in life. If it brings you confusion, it is not for you. But if it brings you more clarity, it is for you. And that goes with work, relationships, any choices that you need to make in your life. Mindfulness brings you clarity and closer to yourself. Clarity is the key and the word of the life, not of the year, not of the day. Clarity. So the world is going to continuously confuse you, keep you lost, away from yourself. That is not for you. That's the indicator and the invitation for you to say, oh, I am in a confusion state. How do I bring myself back into clarity? Claudia said mindfulness, building a relationship with myself through meditation. And I am always here to help you. I have these beautiful workshops for children, beautiful workshops for adults to help you come home to yourself. And I have that at presentlyaki.com. And I'm here to help you come home to yourself, because the world will continue to take you away from yourself because they don't want you to know how powerful you are. You are so powerful. And you deserve to know that. And you deserve to experience that. You deserve the most unconditional love that could possibly ever exist by giving it to yourself. So, as always, I always leave you with, remember that the breath is the secret. And always do your best to lead with love. And until next time, I love you all so much. And I will see you then. Bye.